Are you striving to achieve a higher level of performance or that certain look? There is help. Welcome to the Super Strength Podcast, featuring candid conversations and motivating stories of success. Now, here is your host.
Hello, this is your host, Nick Jaworski, and I am here with Ray Toulany, and today we will be talking with Ray about the rich history of physical culture and how it can help take your training to the next level. We'll be discussing a method of training that incorporates the wisdom of the ancients, a way to train that will build scary strength, never say die conditioning, and vibrant health for your entire life, and a 100-year-old definition of what a true strongman is that is more important today than ever before. Now, before Ray joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions or require assistance, you can always reach Ray online at raytoulany.com or on his Facebook page at facebook.com/Ray Toulany Strength and Conditioning. Ray, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, and ever since we first talked, for the first couple episodes, I've been looking forward to this podcast about the history of physical culture. Obviously, you are interested in it, and I'm just generally a nerd. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. And what do you mean? What does physical culture mean?
Okay, well, physical culture is something that's been around for quite a while, and in probably the last 50 years, it's kind of faded off. Okay, you don't really hear that word anymore. It used to be very popular. So before steroids, before pumping up, okay, before all that kind of stuff, there was an era where all-around strength and ability was encouraged. Okay, when bodybuilding actually meant the development of the entire body, not just the muscles. During that time, people who partook in this endeavor were called physical culturists. Okay, so this physical culture, it's not limited to just training for aesthetics like you have with bodybuilding, where the focus is to look, pretty. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, but It's the way it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not purely about strength like you have in powerlifting, okay, where everything is just put more weight overhead. They sacrifice their health. Some of these guys just to do that, okay? It's not purely about conditioning work either, okay, where you got your aerobics classes, okay, where you have guys jogging and running, and I mean, they could go and go and go, but they don't have the strength to fight their way out of a wet paper bag.
Okay.
So to give you a better idea of really what it is, there is a strongman from the early 1900s by the name of Arthur Saxon. This guy was a legend. Until today, he still holds records. His records still haven't been broken in a few lifts.
Wow.
So here's what he has to say. Neither do I consider a man a really strong man if he is in certain parts developed out of proportion to others. If a man has tremendous arms and chest and weak legs, then he is only half a strong man. If he should have strong legs and arms and weak lungs or a weak heart, then again, he is by no means entitled to be called a strong man. Okay, so That bit of wisdom right there, all the muscle mags, all the fitness comics, all those things that you find on your, supermarket checkout stand there, magazine rack, all of those combined won't have a tenth of the wisdom that was contained in Arthur's words. Okay, he wasn't called the Iron Master for nothing. And you need to remember, he said this in the early 1900s in one of his books.
Right. That a lot has changed since then in terms of training and goals within people who are training. And actually, that's a good question. What was popular? What training methods were popular during this era of physical culture, as you've described it?
Well, before I jump into that, I just want to give you, before we move on to that there, just a pure definition of what physical culture is, though. Just
Sure.
A textbook definition. So basically, it's considered a philosophy, a regimen, or lifestyle seeking maximum physical development through such means as weight or resistance training, diet, aerobic activity, athletic competition, and mental discipline. Benefits include improvements in health, appearance, strength, endurance, flexibility, speed, and general fitness, as well as a greater proficiency in sports-related activities. Okay, that's right out of an encyclopedia. And then it goes on to say physical culture has often included a strong spiritual or philosophical component. In fact, exercise scientists and practitioners think of physical culture in holistic terms as an intricate combination of physical, intellectual, and moral capacities. It revives the link between a sound mind and a sound body, well understood by the ancient Greeks. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about it. So, it sounds like, everything that you could possibly ever want, but it's definitely an approach to life and training in general that you don't see nowadays.
The whole thing sounds different from what I would have expected, so I'm glad we're talking about this. And to get back to that other question is, how were these people training back then, and maybe how is it different from today?
Okay, well, really, I think the easiest way to say it is a lot of these guys were the pioneers of training and strength training, like modern strength training or physical activity, bodybuilding, whatever it may be. Back then, you really didn't have the specialization that you have today, which is usually the way things usually evolve, right? Mm-hmm. So they basically did everything. I mean, they really did do everything. They did everything from lifting barbells to massive dumbbells. They used kettlebells, Indian clubs, barrels, kegs, sandbags. They bent steel. They did strongman feats. They worked on their grip. They jumped rope. They broke chain. I mean, you name it, they did it, man. Swam, boxed, wrestled. It was just everything that involved the body. They were true, physical culturists. That's what they did. They cultivated their physical bodies, and that obviously includes the mind as well, which is a part of the physical body, your brain. So, that's one of the answers right there.
So what you're saying is that modern, the specialization of perhaps bodybuilding or even sport in general, where you're going to specialize on pitching or whatever. These guys, they trained everything all the time.
Yeah, you could say that, yes, because they were looking to develop all aspects of their body. They did not see the body as individual. They didn't just have an individual focus. They saw it as a whole being, a holistic approach. You bring everything up. You strengthen everything. Why would you just strengthen one aspect? Like Arthur said, then you were not considered a strongman. You were only a partial strongman or a woman.
Well, and obviously this connects with your own philosophy about training. But what would make this approach better than the typical approaches we see today? And how does that fit in with your own philosophy about training?
Okay, well, my philosophy is this. Live and let live, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think it's necessarily better per se. Okay, if bodybuilding gives you what you want, then I say bodybuilding is better for you. Okay, in my opinion, what I just described physical culture to be, it's a more complete or rounded approach. Okay, so they train in a variety of ways to develop all types of strength. Okay, so the problem that we got today is most people, the general common myth is either you could have great strength or endurance, but not both at the same time. And I just think that's a pile of bull. You could have all that and more. And that's what they did. Okay. They were enduring, they were rugged, they were strong, and even stronger than some of the guys around today. And they actually were stronger than they looked. You look at some guys today that are, multiple times the size of these guys, but those guys back then were able to do more than the majority of the guys today. And some of the records still stand today. So I think that says a lot. So for me, what I think is it's important to study these old timers. I think it opens your eyes. And I think what it does is it shows you what's possible. Not just what's possible in others, but it shows you what's possible, what lies dormant within you, your potential that I think is there in all of us. We can all develop to this high level if we choose to, and that's what we want to do. So a lot of these guys started sick. And all of a sudden,
right,
they were able, through hard work and determination and diligent and intelligent training. These guys developed physiques and set records and did things that still drop jaws, a century later. So, that's kind of where my look at it, my opinion or my perspective is on this here.
Okay, well, we have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Ray Toulany, and we've got a lot more on the history of physical culture. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of the Super Strength Podcast with Ray Toulany after we hear from our sponsors. Did you know the most popular workouts today involve kettlebells? It's no surprise. Kettlebells offer a much greater range of motion for increased muscular endurance. Due to the displaced center of gravity, kettlebells are much harder to control, placing increased demands on agility, core stabilization, and coordination. Order your kettlebells today at raytoulany.com/kettlebells. That's RAYTOULANY.com/kettlebells. Did you know a strong core not only helps improve power and balance, it can also help decrease the likelihood of injuries. And nothing looks better than a strong, lean midsection. The Power Wheel delivers by challenging your abs, obliques, back, hips, and glutes. The Power Wheel is the perfect piece of equipment for all fitness levels. Get your Power Wheel today at raytoulany.com/powerwheel. That's RAYTOULANY.com/powerwheel. Now let's get back to the Super Strength Podcast with Ray Toulany.
All right, we are back with Ray Toulany, and we are continuing our conversation on the rich history of physical culture. Now, Ray, what about the guys who are strong but don't have any endurance, or have endurance but no strength, or look good but don't have much in the way of performance? I mean, what does all of this mean to them?
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about guys today, right? Like people you see today in the gym. And to me, I think it's that a lot of these guys don't know it's possible to have massive amounts of strength and endurance and a physique to match. Okay, but then again, maybe they're happy with the way they are. And if it is, that's fine. I'm not trying to, force people to, change the way they do things. My opinion is, I think since you're in the gym putting in the effort, why not get the most you can? Why not develop every aspect of your body? Now, I'm not the only guy who thinks this. I mean, there's a lot of guys, modern guys today, we can get into that in a minute, who believe this and are showing that it is possible to do all of this. So at the end of the day, I just think people deserve to be informed of the truth of what is possible, what's been done in the past, and what can be done. And maybe we can even go beyond that. But I think they just need to be informed. They can make their own decision from there.
Well, okay, you just mentioned that there are people who agree with you. So are there people today who still train like the people from the physical culture era?
Definitely, yeah. There's quite a few guys out there. You don't really hear about them as much. Per se, in the pop culture, I guess, or mainstream type of magazines, which tend to be more of the bodybuilding type. So a lot of the guys that are around today that are still doing this, I mean, the guy who really turned me on to this, and I mentioned him before, was Brooks Kubik, the author of Dinosaur Training. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was all about the history of physical culture, and he's probably he's done more to revive the notion of old school training with that one book, because he just turned so many people onto it and made it so interesting than probably anybody else. Although there are a lot of other guys who are responsible for keeping this tradition alive. Lots of guys. Another one is Bud Jeffries. I mean, this guy squatted 1,000 pounds from the bottom position in the squat rack with only a belt. And more recently, he's worked up to doing thousands of repetitions with kettlebell swings, nonstop.
Wow.
And yeah, definitely, like unreal. Another guy, Matt Fury, okay, a few years back, he came out with a bodyweight conditioning course. A lot of people weren't really into the bodyweight. They thought, it's for sissies. Okay, but that's not true. Boxers and martial artists, they've known that it's important for a long time. Look at gymnasts. And that was a big part of physical culture. So he kind of brought that back. Dennis Rogers, this guy's, quite a few people say he is the strongest person pound for pound. He's a grip monster. I mean, bending wrenches with his bare hands, wrenches, hammers, snapping them. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. Yeah. Mike Bruce, known as the Machine, and that's no exaggeration. The guy at around 200-pound body weight has a neck of 24-inch neck. Okay.
Wow.
Strongest neck, they say, in history. It's argued. He's done over 300 pounds, or about 300 pounds, I think it is, in a neck harness lift. Okay. He's also done 1,200-pound partial deadlifts. And again, he's around 200 pounds. And when he started off, he was just a little skinny guy. Ross Enemett is another guy who, again, trains in that kind of physical culture type of way, which is a combination of all of these different attributes. And he's all about conditioning and strength training specifically for the fight game. Pavel Tsatsouline from Russia, the evil Russian as he's known. Okay. He's probably the main guy responsible for reintroducing kettlebell training to North America, to the West. It was always popular. It was something that was done in the past, but it was forgotten about. And then he brought it back about the year 2000 roughly, and it really exploded. You see kettlebells everywhere now. Okay. I mean, the Iron Curtain was there for a few reasons, and I think one of them was to hide their secrets. And Pavel definitely brought a few of them along with him, and the kettlebell was one of them. And there's quite a few other guys I can go into. Pat Pavlidis, Slim the Hammerman Farmer, Dr. Ken Leisner, I mean, Mike Muller. I mean, I could just keep going. There's so many of these guys out there that are still around. They all deserve, to get as much attention as they can.